This is Math 6, Lesson 2-3. Frequency tables and line plots. Oops, typographical error. A frequency table is a table that lists each item in a data set with the number of times that the item occurs. A frequency table just makes it much easier to read all the data that you may have been given. A line plot is a graph that shows the shape of data set by stacking x's above each data value on the number line. And the range is the difference between the least and the greatest value. You find that by subtracting the smallest number from the largest number in your list of data. When you're given a lot of data, it may be very difficult to use the data unless it's organized in some way, shape, or form. A list is hard to read, but a table is much easier. So frequency tables are very helpful to help you organize your information. The favorite lunch for 10 students is pizza, pizza, chicken, hamburger, chicken, pizza, pizza, pizza. Organize the data by making a frequency table, then find the mode. Now I already drew the frequency table for you. Most of the time you would have to draw your own frequency table. So you'd list your choices in your first column, and of course you'd label it. You'd have a tally column, and then you have a frequency column. The whole point to this is so that you can deal with all the different things that you're going to be working with. So we're talking about lunch, so I put the different lunch choices: hamburger, pizza, and chicken. I put a tally column and a frequency column. So now I'm going to look at these and start making some tallies. One of the choices, first one is pizza, and then comes pizza, and then comes chicken, and then comes hamburger, and then comes chicken, and then pizza, and then chicken, and then pizza, and then pizza, and then pizza. Okay, so if we look at this, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Tally 10 data items, so I should make sure I have 10. My frequency just is count up your tally marks and write it down. So I had 1 hamburger, I have 5, 6 pizzas, and 3 chickens, and 6 plus 3 plus 1 does equal 10. So I have now found a nice little frequency table, which is much easier to read. It's much easier for me to say, oh, 1 person liked hamburger, 6 people liked pizza, and 3 people liked chicken. That was a whole lot easier to read than go, oh, let's go through this list, especially when the lists get bigger. So now we need to find the mode. The mode happens to be pizza because that happens to be the item that people chose the most often. Okay. This would be definitely a set of data in which mode would be the best way to interpret it, because it's an opinion question. What's your favorite lunch? Now, to make a line plot. To make a line plot, you simply need to plot numbers on a line, and you use x's for as many times as those numbers appear, or the data values. Let's make a line plot to display the dinner hour for 7 families. Okay, first thing I need a line. So I'm going to draw a line. I need a line, so I'm going to put little arrowheads on my line. You don't have to, but I just kind of like that. So I'm now going to draw a line. So here's my line. Okay. I need to put some little dashes on my line because I need to know how many things I'm making. If I look at my data points, I have 5, 7, 6, 6, 8, 7, 6. So we're looking at dinner hour, so my lowest number is 5, and my highest number is 8. So my lowest number here is 5, and my highest number is 8, which means I should put some numbers on here. So I should have a 5, a 6, a 7, and an 8. And I don't like my numbers to go way above my number line, so I like to just have them go right under my number line. So now I'm just going to, so I have the times are 5, 6, 7, and 8. I try to equally space them apart as best as possible. They don't have to be perfect, but I try to make them as equal as possible. So I have 1 and a 5, I have a 7, and I have a 6, followed by another 6, so I'm just going to stack that x on top of the first 6, and 8, and then another 7, so I'm going to stack that one on top of the 7 I already had, and then another 6, so I'm going to stack that one on the top of that. So now this line plot just needs a title. This would be our dinner hours. So this just tells us the different times at night when people eat dinner. One family ate at 5, 3 families ate at 6, 2 families ate at 7, and 1 family ate at 8 o'clock. Now we're going to find our range. Our range is we take the largest number, which is 8, and we subtract that the smallest number, which is 5. So our range is 3. So there's a 3-hour range in our dinner hour. Okay? And we put the label of hours on it because we know we're talking about dinner hours. So line plots are just made by simply listing your numbers in order from smallest to largest and putting X's as many times as that particular number appears on a number line. Now we're going to use a line plot to interpret the number of sales calls made each hour. Okay, so first of all, again, I have to have my line. So I want my line here. So I'm going to draw a nice little line. Okay. If I look at this, my smallest number that I can see here appears to be 0 right here. And my largest number appears to be 9 right here. So I have to go from 0 to 9. So I need to make sure I have enough data points on my line to go from 0 to 9. So I'm going to have, there's 0, there's 1, there's 2. I'm trying to equally space these apart. There's 3, there's 4, there's 5, there's 6, there's 7, there's 8, and there's 9. So now I have labeled, a little downhill, but oh well. Okay, so those are my points, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I'm just now going to start plotting them. So I have a 2, so I'm going to put an X at 2. Then I have an X at 3. Then an X at 0. So I've done this one, and this one. An X at 7, so I'm taking care of that one. 2 X's at 1. So I'll take care of both of those. An X at 9. So I've done that one. An X at 8. Take care of that one. An X at 2. Here's another one over here at 2. Another at 8, so I'll stack that one on top of the first one. Another one at 1, so I'll stack that on the other 2. Another at 2, so I'll stack that on the other 2. Another at 8, so I'll stack that one. Another at 7, so there's a stack one right there. Another one at 1. Another one at 8. One at 6. And another one at 1. So we can clearly see that no one made 4 sales calls or 5 sales calls, but we still need to have those numbers because we need to make sure that people recognize that there were no sales calls at these numbers right through here. When you look at your 4 and 5, there are no sales calls right here because there are no X's there. Nobody made any sales calls. Nobody made 4 sales calls and nobody made 5 sales calls. If we look at our data, it looks like our salespeople made either a small number of calls between 0 and 3 or a large number of calls between 6 and 9. So if we were going to analyze the data, it says interpret, so we are going to interpret our data. If I was going to interpret this data, I would probably say that no one made 4 or 5 sales calls, but it seems like there was either a small number of sales calls made between 0 and 3 sales calls, or there was a larger number of sales calls between 6 and 9. Okay. So the number of sales calls was either small, between 0 to 3, or large, between 6 and 9. Okay. There were no middle number of sales calls. Alright, so last thing I should do is I noticed I didn't put a title on my line plot, so I need to make a title, and this was the number of sales calls. So always title number of sales calls. So this is making frequency tables and line plots.